Hi everybody! Today we're going to practice our coins by creating a coin graph. But before we do that, let's make sure you remember your coins and how much they're each worth. Penny, penny, easily spent. Copper, brown and worth 1 cent. Nickel, nickel, thick and fat. You're worth 5 cents, I know that. Dime, dime, little and thin, I remember you're worth 10. Quarter, quarter, big and bold, you're worth 25, I'm told. The first thing that you're going to do is look around your house and find a collection of different coins and sort them. Now that I've got my coins sorted into pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, I'm ready to make my coin graph. Now that I've got my coins sorted, I'm ready to make my graph. So I went and grabbed a piece of paper from my house and I drew my coin graph. When you make your graph, you can either make it like I did, where I'm starting from the bottom and going up, or you can make it go from left to right. You can start here and go across. Either way will be fine. When you're making your graph, make sure that you have two things on your graph that are very important. The first thing you need is a title. We learned that all graphs need a title. It tells you what kind of information is in that graph. And then you also need labels. And for your labels, you're going to just use the names of your coins. So I have penny, nickel, dime, and quarter. After you've made your graph, now you're ready to put your coins on. Just make sure that when you put your coins on, that you're putting them on top of each other, not leaving big spaces in between. Making sure that you put the right coin next to the right label. And last, my quarters. All right, good job. Okay, after you've got your coins on your coin graph, now we're ready to talk about some of the information that your graph shows. So the first thing I want you to do is count how many of each coin you had and write it above it or beside it. So I'm going to start with my pennies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 6 pennies. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had 4 nickels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 5 dimes. 1, 2, 3. And I had 3 quarters. Now your graph may look different because we may not have the same exact number of coins. So your number of pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters may be different than what I have. And that's okay. Now that I've counted how many of each coin I have on my coin graph, I'm ready to share the information on my graph with someone in my family. Remember that there's a lot of different information that we can get from our graph. One of the things that I can learn from my graph is how many coins did I use all together on my graph. There are a couple of different ways of doing it. One way that I can do it is to count how many coins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on until I've got them all counted. And that is a perfectly fine way to do it, but it takes a little bit longer. If I want to do it a little bit more efficiently, instead of counting them all, I can look at my numbers and see what kind of addition combinations I can make. One of the things that I see right off the bat is I see a combination of 10. And we were working very hard on that all year long at school. So I know you know your combinations of 10. Right off the bat, I see that 6 and 4 make 10. I know that 6 and 4 make 10. So I know these two together make 10. And then over here, I have 5 and 3. I know that 5 and 3 more is 8. So when I put 10 and 8 together, that makes 18. That's a little bit more of an efficient way to find the total. But again, you can simply count them all if that is easier for you. I can also make some different comparisons using my graph. For example, I could tell somebody in my family, which coin do I have more of, pennies or dimes? And by looking at my graph, I can see that pennies are 6, dimes are 5. So I know that I have more pennies than dimes. Or I could tell someone in my family, which coin do you have fewer of? Fewer means less. Quarters or nickels? Which coin do you have fewer of? Quarters, I have 3. Nickels, I have 4. I know that 3 is less than 4, so I have fewer quarters than nickels. Now be careful, boys and girls, when you're comparing the information on your graph, when you're comparing two different coins. For example, if you look at my nickels and my dimes, if I just look at how tall they are, they look like they're about the same. But when I look at the numbers, I see that my nickels are 4 and my dimes are 5. So those are two different numbers. The reason they look the same height is because the coins are different sizes. So when you're comparing two different coins to see which one is more or which one is less, don't just look at the height, actually count or look at the numbers that you've written. I can also answer questions like, how many more pennies are there than nickels? Where I'm comparing two different coins. I see that pennies are more, but I want to find out how many more. So there are two different ways I can do that. One way is to actually match up the coins. So match up the pennies and the nickels and see how many are left. I can see that I have 2 more pennies. Or another way to do it is to look at the numbers and subtract them. So I know that I have 6 pennies and 4 nickels. So I can make a subtraction problem. I can say 6 minus 4 equals 2. There are 2 more pennies than nickels on my graph. If I asked how many more dimes than quarters are on my graph, how many more dimes than quarters? I see that dimes are more, but I'm going to figure out how many more. So one way to do it is to match up the coins, match up a dime and a quarter, and I can see that I have 2 extra dimes. So I know that I have 2 more dimes than quarters. Or the other way to do it is to make a subtraction problem and use the numbers. I have 5 dimes and 3 quarters. 5 minus 3 equals 2. I have 2 more dimes than quarters. I hope you have fun making your coin graph and finding out all the different information that can come from your coin graph. You will be a coin graph expert.